Boker Tov. This morning I have something to say. That's the name of the book from Rabbi David Goldwasser. So Vayikra.
The rabbi has something to say?
There's something to say, right? So the Parshat Vayikra has that little Aleph in the beginning. And one of my teachers, Rabbi Echelon, teaches us often that you have to put yourself in the mindset of the Israelite that was receiving the Torah. What did it feel like 3,300 and something years ago? So when you think about Vayikra and you think about all the kavanot that are coming, and you think about the way that people lived back then, they didn't have Ralph's on the street corner to go shopping. Everybody knew about shechita. It smelled. I mean, it just smelled horrible back then. You had animals being slaughtered, and I read last week in the Parsha that you had to cut up all the parts of the animal, and you had to burn it with the dung of the animal. You can imagine what the streets felt like as you walked through your villages. It was a very tangible feeling. So today, we think, korban, a sacrifice, it's such a gross concept to us, but in those days, it was something that was normal. And so when you sacrificed an animal, people could bring an animal if they could afford to eat meat. People who couldn't afford to bring an animal sacrifice would bring a sacrifice of a wafer that they would make out of flour, because that's what they could afford. So in both cases, the idea was, in that small Aleph, you have to feel small in a certain sense, that because the pasuk says, Adam ki akriv mekem korban Hashem. A man or a person who brings mikem, from you, a korban to God, you should bring this korban. And the idea that I wanted to share is that Thursday night I was at a panel, and someone said, what was the most valuable lesson he learned from his successes? And the lesson that he learned was being humble. And it struck me because I realized you can't have humility unless you have success, in a certain sense. It doesn't mean financial success. He said success is you wake up in the morning and you're excited about what you do. If you have that every morning, you're a success. But at the same point, you have to have the humility. So the last part was, there was a famous Hasidic master named Noam Elimelech, and he used to carry around 2 slips of paper. It's a well-known story. On one it was written, Bishvili Nivra Ha'olam, the world was created for my sake. And the other one was written, Anochi Afar Va'efer, I am but dust and ashes. So in our consciousness, we always have to have these 2 modes of thought, which is one, I want to be that creator with God, but at the other point, I want to be as humble as I can be. So,